guys, it's me, Ruowen Huang. All morning the house is so noisy, so I was debating whether I should do broadcast or not. But anyway, let's still give it a try. Before I start, my name is Ruowen Huang. I'm an author, spirit coach, and also a psychic. 97 episode. We are counting down, literally. Today I want to talk about phobia. Phobia, not necessarily, I don't know how you define phobia, but basically if you are afraid of something and then you may or may not have information about it, then that's why I thought we would discuss here, right? I want to give a couple example. While working with, I've been doing consultation for a long time, and through working with clients, I noticed a lot of phobia usually come from, I call certain death, certain unexpected death, and then that instant trauma, right? The trauma that create at that moment of death, and then, it kind of linger forward or linger on to this life, right? So of course, there's something like that is created, simply created in this life, which I believe you can find memory or information regarding why you are so afraid of certain things. But here, I'm just simply focusing on the area that you guys do not see. If you do not understand why you are so afraid of certain thing, right? Because in your memory, you simply have no collective memory regarding to that. The chances it may relate to something happened in your past life, either you are dealing, but that's something usually associated with certain unexpected death. And here I will give you example. I'll give you a couple examples based on the case I have. I have my son. I give you example of my son. That's a very typical one. My son is very afraid of water. And then you guys probably think, afraid of water just because, it could be they grow up, they're afraid to get drunk and things like that. He is a very unique case. That means since the day he was born, he really doesn't like water. He doesn't like water so much in a way, even nurse think it's really weird. Like you try to bath, how they come up bloody, right? And then nurse simply want to give him a bath. And he screamed, and then he shout, and so loud, for a first day born baby. Like nursing is so weird. Like even nurse took a picture of it. Of course, if my son allowed, I would show the picture, but now I'm gonna have to say no. So because nurse say they never seen any kids like that. Usually warm water kind of soothe them, and then they don't understand why the baby is like screaming. Like you literally see the whole body is all clenching, and then the face is screaming, and then, it was all red, right? Because all the blood and all that. So, since the day one, since the day one he was born, he hated water. And then you can probably imagine, right? Ever since that, every day giving him a bath is challenging. We have to go like in and out. We have to be so fast, right? Because usually, if we don't wrap it up really quickly, neighbors thought we are abusing the kids, not knowing we literally just want to give him a bath. Because old books say if you give your baby a bath, they will sleep better, right? And it seems to me the reason my son slept better is because he used all the energy screaming, right? Screaming and yelling. So by the time he go to bed, he just tired out, right? So that was a really long battle. And then, sure enough, a lot of parents would tell me, oh, they eventually outgrow it. You would not see. My son did not outgrow it, right? So every day giving him a bath was a battle. And then it go up to about he was almost 1 year old. And we realized, maybe we can bring him to the bathtub. Like I got to go into the bathtub with him and to let him know it's okay, right? So to figure out, at that time, I already starting this whole psychic journey. So to figure out why he has such a resistance of the water, I realized he was drowning in the previous life. Very directly, he was drowning in the ocean, and then he was, I guess, dying, right? So every time he touched the water, he thought he was dying. So to work this issue, right, I have to work this because I'm never gonna raise a son who never wanna have a shower or a bath or go to the water or swim, right? So since within 1 year, we start to introduce him to the water, right? So we discover the best way for him to not scream his lung out is we try to go into the bathtub with him, right? And make it fun game with him. So we did that, and then, even at the beginning, he still have a little bit resistant. He didn't want to go there. And then we'll continue to say, look, you're not going to drown because I'm here. A lot of parents would think it's crazy. I'm a crazy mom because I'm literally telling my kids that he won't drown in my own bathtub, right? But anyway, it helped because every day we have a bath and every day we're playing some fun game, and then, and then we will continue reassuring that you are not going to drown, okay, because mommy's here and then your sister's here and you'll be fine, right? So we thought we kind of overcome his fear of water because he hasn't screamed his lung out for a while every time we have a bath time. So it's not until he was about 1.5 or 2-year-old, and then we decide to go to Water Mania, right? It's a water park. I mean, which kid doesn't like water park, right? My kid did not like water park. So we went to Water Mania, and he has shown the fear. He doesn't want to go into the water, and we thought, oh, it's okay because 1.5-year-old baby, you're not gonna let them swim by themselves anyway. I'm gonna be there the whole time, so I thought you would be okay. To my surprise, it was actually really bad because people passed by him and just simply splashed water on him. He was screaming the whole time. He was latching onto me. There's no chance you can ever pull this baby out of me. The whole time we were there with so many family, he's simply latching onto me. Every time people walk by and splash water on him, he's screaming. That is about 1 and 2 years old. I think roughly about 2 years old, right? So it was at that moment I decided, look, I'm not gonna embrace this, because this fear is going to ruin his life, right? He have a phobia of water. Well, come on, we are 70% of the water. So that time I start come up really weird saying, if my kids remember, they'll probably tell you that, but I would say something, look, you cannot be afraid of water because you are made out of water. You are 70% of water. If you're afraid of water, what are you trying to say? You're afraid of yourself, right? And then since a young age, we start saying, you drown once. You drown in one life. I'm not gonna make you drown again in this life. That's not gonna happen. We come to this life to overcome our task. It's not to embrace our fear, but to overcome our fear. So, very different from probably some mother who doesn't want to deal with their kids' fear, just let it be because it was so much emotion going on, right? I end up register my kids in swimming class. I start taking my kid to swimming pool every day, and then every time he's resistant, I say, no, come with me. And then I will continue saying, we are not going to drown in this life. That is not going to happen. So this is survival skill, and you really have to learn to do it, right? So if you ever want to know how long does it take, after swimming pool, he's comfortable with swimming pool, then I start taking him to the beach because that's where it all begins. That's where he drowned, by the beach, right? So he hated sand. He doesn't want sand to get on. Every time his feet touch sand, he's getting cranky or he's, upset or he's screaming. He doesn't want any sand getting to his shoes, right? So sure enough, once he get comfortable with swimming pool, which is very frequent visit to the swimming pool, I start to take him to the beach. Take him to the beach. I say, you have to learn to swim. You have to overpower this fear because you ain't gonna drown again in this life. So if you want to know how long it takes for my son to overcome his fear simply because he was drowned in last life, 9 years. 9 years of my life. I take my son in frequent visit to any place that have pool, have water, continue telling him in the face, you ain't gonna drown this life. If you don't learn to overcome it, right? I would make joke. I would say something about, well, you cannot be afraid of water. You cannot dislike water because your body contains 70% of the water. If you continuously afraid of water, that means you dislike yourself. And that's not what I stand for. So anyway, 9 years of my life, I take my kids all the time to overcome his fear. He had this phobia of water, right? So now he can enjoy water. He can go to pool. He can go to even open water, lake. He still doesn't like beach too much, but he got to enjoy, water like everybody else. And he's not limited by, the phobia of the water. Therefore, it's not going there. Bring back to myself. That's just an example for you. That is very real in my life. So if you ask me if I don't know about phobia, I have very good idea how phobia work. Okay? Because I'm dealing with it in real, almost daily basis, right? During my kids' upbringing. But also because I'm working on my kids, that also got me to look within myself and see what phobia is there that I am not dealing with. You know what I mean? So instead of before I'm saying, hey, I'm afraid of height, don't take me there, right? So I would say, hey, I'm so scared, don't take me there, don't push me there, right? I would try to tell myself, okay, what's my comfort level, right? What's my comfort level that I can push myself a little bit at a time to deal with my fear of height. So, I get it. It takes a long time because in my head, I always got a reference, right? I got 9 years to work on one phobia my son has. So I expect a long time to work on my own phobia. So I start working little phobia of mine. That is, I have this phobia. I don't know if you guys have it, but this phobia is almost ridiculous. Every time the gas tank go to empty, how the gas tank got empty and then you simply pass right past empty, is phobia, right? Yeah, I think so. My spelling is not going to be correct, but I will Google it, then maybe I will tell you. I have this phobia is every time the gas tank pass E and then the lights go on, I get anxious. I get very anxious. And as it continue going to, empty, totally empty, right? My breath would get really short, and then my whole body would get really cold. I would shake. My husband used to tease it because he think I'm exaggerating it. He's like, no big deal, right? It's no big deal if a gas tank run out. But it was really real to me, and I did not know why. If you ever ask me, have I been traumatized because my gas tank ran out? Really, never. I never got traumatized once. Like gas tank run out of the car run out of gas, right? Not one time in my life that I've ever been traumatized by it. But for some really weird reason, every time it passed E, my breath start getting short, and then I'm eager to look for the gas station, right? Even though people would tell me you can still drive about 100 kilometers or things like that you are okay. I just simply restless. So one time my husband's really pushing it a bit far because we were on the highway and you don't know how far, freeway or highway, you don't know where the next gas station is going to be, right? And then in his car, he shows we only can drive 50 kilometers. That's it. And, sometimes when you go under, it just blink and it doesn't tell you when it's going to, how far you can drive. That's the first time I realized this phobia is real because all of a sudden my whole body turned cold and I start having the cold sweat, and then I couldn't breathe. I just continue to feel like, someone is choking on my neck, right? And then I started getting very nervous and short of breath. So I was in the car. I was, please find a gas station. And my husband thought I was just acting real until he realized it was for real. I'm really, really, nervous, right? So sure enough, after that, we eventually find a gas station, thank God. And I don't know why my reaction is so big until, after the trip back and I have this conversation with a friend, I don't usually go through the past site to check on anything because I believe things can usually find out within this life. So that's why it never come to my head. I should check on my own problem. Why do I have such a reaction to it? So it's not until I come back, I talk to a friend. And then a friend tell me, why don't you check it? Because, if you never get traumatized within your memory, why would you have such a strong reaction to it? Because she told me, my mom's car run out of gas. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. But all the time, and all it does is just car stop. There's nothing to be afraid of. So why am I doing this? So anyway, because she suggested, and I went to check on my own past life and realized it was somewhat in Germany, I'm pretty sure. And I was somehow trying to escape. It's a car full of people, right? And then the car ran out of gas and was stopped in a big field, like open square or something like that. And then soldiers catch up to us, and my neck was literally, strained to death by metal wire or something. So anyway, after I discovered it, then it kind of makes sense to me why I have this almost fear I'm gonna die, emotion when every time the gas go low, right? So what I did is, because I work on on the side I'm working on my son right now, I gotta work on myself. Every time I'm driving and when the light go past E, I telling myself, Joanne, it's okay. Ruowen, you're okay. You're not gonna die. Nobody's gonna strangle you to death. If you listen to your friend, your car will slowly slow down, and then you just have to park on the side. Then you can go buy the gas. So every single time, guys, my gas tank push low, I'm telling myself, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. So I did that for a really long time, right? I did that for at least somewhere between, I would say, 9 months to 1 year. Every time I drive, I have to convince myself I ain't gonna die. To now, where I am, I can confidently say, or even my husband can tell you, oh, it's weird, you no longer got so reacted so strongly like you were before. I say, yeah, that phobia, I work it already. I got no problem with it. Even though a gas totally run out, I'm okay. But, to my own comfort level, I still like to fill it up if I can, right? But I no longer have that physical reaction because I take almost daily trainings, tell myself I ain't gonna die. So I cannot get into the story and get a sideways. So because I worked this, I worked various phobia of mine that I cannot find information of it. I continue telling myself and work it a little bit. I know the only way to really cure the phobia is actually push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. Within what I feel comfortable, continue pushing out a little bit, continue pushing out a little bit. So I give you an example as a gas tank, for example. I will not tell you to totally run out of gas. That is crazy, but you can always push it a little bit. Eventually, you'll feel comfortable. You'll feel comfortable, this is okay. Same thing as my son. I would bring him to the pool. Let's just stay here for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. You have to be in the water for 15 minutes. And then next day, when he's comfortable with 15 minutes, we push it to 20 minutes. We push it to 30 minutes, something like that. So if you have any phobia, like you couldn't find any information what caused it, and then you have the mind to work it. What I'm saying is really push yourself a little bit to out of your comfort zone and work it. Face it. Confront your own fear. I'm not asking you to overcome it all at once, but do understand. For me, car take almost 9 months, 1 year. To my son, take 9 years of that. So be a little bit gentle with yourself. Push a little bit. Confront your own fear. You will eventually realize you have power over them. Those fears that come from nowhere no longer have power over you, because really what it based on is all based on imagination, whether that imagination is real or not real. In our case, it was real in the past life, but is it real in this life? Have I done something wrong so bad someone's gonna run after me and kill me? Probably not, right? So use that logic. Use that logic wisely. Continue telling yourself it's okay. It's okay. I'm simply here working my fear, right? So that's the same thing. I know somebody who we call driving phobia. We just start creating words because she cannot drive the car. she cannot drive the car. Anybody drive her is okay, but she cannot drive it. So in one session, we have a conversation, right? And we discovered the reason she cannot drive the car is she once drove a bus. She was a bus driver, and she drove a car full of people. And then, because road is slippery or things like that, so the car fell on a cliff. So everybody died, right? So in this life, she doesn't mind to be in the passenger, but she doesn't want to be responsible for everybody's life. So I did suggest for her to deal with her own fear a little bit at a time. Maybe not drive on the road, but maybe she should start driving in the comfort area, like in the neighborhood or things like that. But, she couldn't really confront her own fear. So what ended up happening is, it's been almost 10 years past, she is still afraid of driving, right? So what I'm saying is, if you don't confront your own fear, the fear most likely will always be there. So this is a point you can sit at home and thinking, do I want my fear to control my life, or do I want to start controlling my life from this point forward? If you have a mind that you want to control your life from this point forward, my suggestion to you is you should start stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit a day, a little bit at a time. You know what? This is something you're very afraid of, right? Face it. You push yourself out a little bit, deal with it a little bit at a time, and then come back, pat yourself at the shoulder. Great job, because I'm confronting my own fear. Eventually, you will see how that phobia or whatever phobia you have slowly diminish away, because what? Your courage. Your strength and courage. That courage, like you are willing to deal with your fear, is gonna help you push that phobia away. Anyway, seems to talk a lot today, but I just thought because I share a little bit of my personal experience with you guys, and maybe you guys can try it out within yourself. Again, if you like what I'm doing, you can always join me live on no longer Periscope. You can always join me live on Facebook, subscribe my YouTube channel, or go to my website at ruowen.com. Till then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!